about certain things, and they really mean it well in bringing it to our attention. But these kind of people usually do it in a helpful way. In other words, when they bring it to your attention, you know through the Spirit that these people genuinely are concerned about helping you. Now let's go back to the first group of people. The first group of people that use little nitpicky stuff to try to stir up trouble, they usually do it in such a way to tear down. Okay? Now, the loopholes, these people sometimes try to find problems in paperwork. And I'm here to tell you something about the paperwork. We have got a lot of improvement to do in our paperwork. And I've gotten a few emails yet, and most of you are very, very tolerant. But we have got a lot of cleaning up to do in our paperwork yet. There's some mistakes here and there, and there's some flaws in it. And there's some areas where it could consequently, down the road, be construed wrongly and maybe have some wrongful impacts. And then the comment I get from people is, well, we're not going to let it happen again. And it happened the first time from the de facto. Now we're going to watch out. And that's an attitude to have. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I want to bring something to your attention. It was not the flaws in the paperwork, and it was not in the little mistakes that people did on a daily basis that destroyed our republic the last time. It had absolutely nothing to do with that. What destroyed our republic the last time had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with a consorted, well-planned strategy by men in suit, coat, and tie in big, high-rise office buildings. It was strategically planned by the insiders to take us down. So don't worry and don't make a big issue out of little nitpicky, little paper errors, because that's not what destroyed the republic. That's not what gave the de facto the power. It was a planned strategy by the insiders that destroyed it, and it would do it again.
Can I say something? Now, can I say something, Nathan, about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have studied a lot of law. I understand law quite well and how it's structured and how it works and its authority and all this kind of stuff better than most judges and attorneys do in this nation. I've educated a lot of attorneys and judges on real law because they don't get it. A lot of them don't even understand it. But the one thing that I found in law is intent. Intent is everything in law. Even though you may have a misspelled word or improper word, if the overall document clearly shows the intent, that's what the law is. And that's what, the Founding Fathers, when they did documents, they were not perfect by any shot, any stretch of the imagination, folks. You can go look at them today and say, well, wow, this has got a lot of errors in it. And it does. I've looked at the original books from Congress from 1791, and I can tell you, most of you would be appalled at the errors. But the bottom line is they were functional because the intent was clear. And so, and I guess I failed to explain this to the people, that when we build this government, it is not going to be perfect. I don't care how long you debate over issues. I don't care what you do to try to make it perfect. It will not be perfect. We've been doing it for 230 some odd years, trying to make it perfect, and it still is not any better than it was then, probably. It's probably worse. We want to go back to the basics, and we want to get a Congress that's not for sale and put them in there to make it better than what it is. And they've got, for the rest of their lives, or their terms, as many terms as yet to come, hundreds of years to perfect what we do. Because I don't care if you work on these documents 100 years, they're not going to be perfect. Because we have the human element. And I make lots of mistakes myself, so I know. I'm an expert at making mistakes, and I know you're not going to do a perfect document. You're just not going to do it. And you're not going to build a perfect Congress. You're not going to build a perfect government. But we can do better than what we have, and we can work toward that perfection. That's Congress's job, is to amend laws to make them adhere more closely to that perfection, which is the intent of the Republican form of government. So, folks, nitpicking the documents. I mean, I understand we need to get them as close as we can. I'm for that too. But the bottom line is, if we sit there and nitpick them apart all the time and never move forward and never get anything done, we're all going to be in foreign occupation in this country. If we don't build this republic in the next few weeks, your children have no future. And that's a fact. I'm getting that from intelligence sources around the world. We're going to be under foreign occupation in America because this corporation, for all the intel that we're getting, it's going down, and it's going down soon. I hope that we've got a few weeks left, and we've got to use that time to build this republic. And so the people that are trying to delay the effort are working for those that don't want us to get there in time, because then they will have us exactly where they want us to be. We will not be able to show that we have a structured government, and the United Nations will take over America by military rule. And I don't think that's a good thing. And that's exactly the plan. So if you guys want to see freedom in our nation, we've got to get this republic structured. We don't have the luxury of nitpicking everything apart. We've got to have a structure. We can go back and chink the cracks, as I said last Wednesday night, when we get the structure in place. And there's people, I've got a lot of hate mail about that. But the bottom line is you can work on this stuff for the next 100 years, and it's still going to have cracks in it. So let's get a good structure. It gets us closer to what the truth is, and then let's work on it from there. But if we don't, we're going to be under foreign occupation.
Okay, Tim. So our very next step. What is our very, very next step that you would expect us to get accomplished?
Okay, I've been asked by a number of people across the country to help give guidance on a number of issues. Some of the issues that we've got to do in Congress, the first thing is we got to get our committees together. We've been working on that, and I've been having some issues with that, trying to get committees together. But I think that's finally coming together, the officers in the House and the Senate and the committees together. Okay. Mm-hmm. We need to get this Congress in place where it can function. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to tell you all how to do it. I'm giving you guidance. If you don't want to do it my way, fine, do it another way. But the bottom line is tell me what you want to do and let's get it done. But, we've got to get this done. And if it's not in the perfect structure, as I said, we can change it.
All right, so the federal district structure, for lack of a better word, is going to depend on us appointing a federal district justice in each of the states. Is that correct?
Yes, the Supreme Court will do that. That's their job to do that. They'll appoint a justice over each state. Okay, so the issues from that particular state can be heard. And that's where the grand jury that we have calling together that's their job. Now, the governor of the state and the justice that we've already put in that state is for the state courts. That's their job to start putting that together. Now, I don't think they quite understood that. And that's as I say, I apologize because I didn't probably explain it well enough. But the bottom line is that the juries that we have in place need to work through the district court, the federal district court system, because those are the most serious issues that we've got to deal with first. Now, at the same time, the states need to get their structure together. It's very important that you do that, because we have to have input from the state in order. Your representatives are in place. They're the ones that tell us what to do at the national level, so they're already in place. But they need to come together along with the governor, the representatives in the states, and they need to come together as a Congress of that state. And you guys structure that however your Constitution says, or whatever you want to do is entirely up to you, because you're we the people. You can do it however you choose. I highly suggest it's already been thought through pretty well and debated on numerous thousands of hours. Your state constitution lays it out for you pretty good. And I would try to abide by that as much as I could, within reason, as long as it doesn't violate the Constitution. Okay. Now, the state constitution and laws of your state are already there if you want to if you want to adopt those as your law, just like we have to do it at the federal level. Your legislature needs to meet. You need to establish what you've got to call your republic, first of all. You've got to establish your law form. Just like we do at the federal level, we've got to do the same thing. and you've got to establish certain things, certain protocols. I'll be happy to help you with some of that guidance if you need it, but you can pretty much mimic what we're doing at the federal level. Everybody, all the governments work basically the same. One's just federal and one's just state. There are some differences, but there's not a lot of difference in the functions of the government. Okay? The federal level just works with all the states to make things happen on an interstate basis, and the state works within that particular state. We only come in and deal with the state whenever the state needs us to do something, and we're invited in. That's it. Simple as that. That's the proper way that the federal system works. Okay, the reason we need to set up the district courts is because to handle these issues. If you got somebody in prison for an IRS issue, you can't deal with it as a state court. It's got to go to the federal level because it was done by the United States Department of Justice. The only proper venue is at the federal level. You can't do it as a state. And if you do try that, they're going to throw it out for lack of jurisdiction, which was rightfully so. And so we've got to bring it in the proper jurisdiction and venue according to the protocols of law. And this is something as I said, I have not really explained to the people properly, I guess, but that's what we've got to do. Now, state cases have to be done by the state. They can't be done by the federal level. County cases have to be done by the county grand jury and county courts. We can't do them at our level unless they're appealed up to the state circuit courts and the state Supreme Court. They can't even deal with it then. The county has to bring it up, or a person from the county can appeal it up to the higher courts. But there has to be a request from the individual or from the county, and to move it up the ladder. You can't just come down as a state and say that's what's wrong with our system today. The state and the federal has just come down and invaded the space of the people. We can't do that in a Republican form of government. And that's what I keep trying to say, and I just have not communicated that well, I suppose. But that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make sure we have a separation of powers. Federal level and the state level and the county level have to be separated because they are all independent. And that's a mindset the people don't understand anymore. The state can't come into the county unless the county says so. The people in the county say so that rule the county. The federal can't come into the state unless the state says so. The legislators of that state can say, no, federal government, we don't want you down here. Did you know that the FBI or CIA and none of these agencies can even come into a state unless they're invited? Did you know that they can't come into a county unless the county sheriff invites them? They even abide by that rule somewhat today. But they don't talk about it. That's called home rule, and they don't talk about it much because feds don't want you to know about it. But I do know about it. I had to deal with that issue many times in the past when I worked with those folks. I saw them do it. I've seen the sheriff. In fact, in Hurricane Katrina, the governor did not allow FEMA to come in for a while several days after Katrina. They were sitting at the border waiting to come in to Louisiana, and they couldn't step foot in Louisiana till the governor said so. And as a result, she made a big mess out of things, but the bottom line is that's the way the law really works. And they do abide by that still some today, but not fully. We want to return to a full, to give the full rights and the separation of powers back like they set them right the way they should be. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think like I said, it's my fault some of it because I have not explained this to the people well enough. But anyway, I'm trying tonight. That's what this call is about, so you can understand where we're going here and what we're trying to do. And I can get off on these tangents, I know, but carry on. I'll yield the floor.
So the Supreme Court justices, it is up to us to go and appoint the federal district justice.
The federal court, the district court justice, which is the district court in each state, when a republic or a state comes into the federal system, they give us the consent to put a district court, at least most of them have many district courts in the state because the states are large, but we will put at least one district court for now in that state. When the people of that state have an issue with a federal court issue, IRS is one of those issues, RICO Act, different things, any kind of federal crime.